Dear friends, we continue our reading classes and Women's Literature Month. Today's reading is dedicated to an English author and playwright, Daphne de Maurier. She is classed as a romantic novelist. Her stories have been described as moody and resonant with overtones of the paranormal. Her best-selling works were not at first taken seriously by critics, but have since earned an enduring reputation for narrative craft. Many have been successfully adapted into films, including the novels Rebecca, Frenchman's Creek, My Cousin Rachel, and the short stories The Birds and Don't Look Now, Not After Midnight. Today we will read an extract from the short story The Birds. Enjoy listening.
On December the 3rd, the wind changed overnight, and it was winter. Until then, the autumn had been mellow, soft. The earth was rich where the plough had turned it. Nat Hawken, because of a wartime disability, had a pension and did not work full-time at the farm. He worked 3 days a week, and they gave him the lighter jobs. Although he was married with children, his was a solitary disposition. He liked best to work alone. It pleased him when he was given a bank to build up, or a gate to mend, at the far end of the peninsula, where the sea surrounded the farmland on the either side. Then, at midday, he would pause and eat the meat pie his wife had baked for him, and sitting on the cliff's edge, watch the birds. In autumn, great flocks of them came to the peninsula. Restless, uneasy, spending themselves in motion, now wheeling, circling the sky, now settling to feed on the rich, new-turned soil. But even when they fed, it was as though they did so without hunger, without desire. Restlessness drove them to the skies again. Crying, whistling, calling, they skimmed the placid sea and left the shore. Make haste, make speed, hurry and be gone, yet where, and to what purpose? The restless urge of autumn, unsatisfying, sad, had put a spell upon them, and they must spill themselves of motion before winter came. Perhaps, thought Nat, a message comes to the birds in autumn like a warning. Winter is coming. Many of them will perish, and like people who are apprehensive of death before their time, drive themselves to work of folly, the birds do likewise. The birds had been more restless than ever this fall of the year, their agitation more marked because the days were still. As Mr. Trigg's tractor traced its path up and down the western hills, and Nat Hedgen saw it dip and turn, the whole machine and man upon it were momentarily lost in the great cloud of wheeling, crying birds. Nat remarked upon them to Mr. Trigg, when the work was finished for the day. "Yes," said the farmer, "there are more birds about than usual. I have a notion the weather will change. It will be a hot winter. That's why the birds are restless." The farmer was right. That night the weather turned. The bedroom in the cottage faced east. Nat worked just after 2 and had the east wind, cold and dry. It sounded hollow in the chimney, and a loose slate rattled on the roof. Nat listened, and he could hear the sea roaring in the bay. He drew the blanket round him, leaned closer to the back of his wife, deep in sleep. Then he heard the tapping on the window pane. It continued until, irritated by the sound, Ned got out of bed and went to the window. He opened it, and as he did so, something brushed his hand, jabbing at his knuckles, grazing the skin. Then he saw the flutter of wings, and the thing was gone again over the roof behind the cottage. It was a bird. What kind of bird he would not tell.
You may find these and many others wonderful works at window on America Center in Чижевський Library. You are welcome.